trouble.
Turn number 4, Richard Petty's car goes airborne, end over end. There's 2 or 3 other cars into it.
Petty has hit the wall very hard. He gets hit again as the car came to rest at the entrance to pit road. Petty's car is really smashed front and rear.
What they found in Richard Petty's garage will leave you speechless. Not because of its value, not because of the fame tied to every object inside, but because of the silence, the weight.
In the booth with Jim McKay for ABC. The position that he was in, it looked like blood coming out. It was a scary scene.
And the deeply personal meaning behind every dusty item, every scarred machine, every handwritten note. This is not just a place filled with trophies. This is a hidden part of history. A place where victory and pain sit side by side. A place that Richard Petty never showed the world. Richard Petty isn't just a racer. He is NASCAR royalty. Known to millions as the King, his career reshaped American motorsport. With 200 career victories and 7 Cup Series championships, his numbers are beyond legendary. But the true story of Richard Petty can't be found in statistics. It lives inside a locked garage in Level Cross, North Carolina. And once you step inside that garage, everything changes. Let's go back for a moment to one of the most terrifying crashes in NASCAR history. It was just another race day. Fans screaming, engines roaring. Petty, as always, was charging through the turns. Then, disaster struck. Heading into Turn 4, his car launched into the air. Other vehicles collided with it mid-air. Metal crunched, glass shattered. He smashed into the wall with tremendous force. And just as his car came to a halt, another car slammed into it. The impact nearly ended his life. What happened next was more than recovery. It was a reflection. That crash became a turning point, and it marked the beginning of something hidden, a place where Richard Petty started storing the most meaningful artifacts of his racing life. That place would grow into the private garage, the one very few would ever see. This is where the real Richard Petty lives. Outside, he's the star, the face of NASCAR. With his cowboy hat, black sunglasses, and signature Southern drawl, he has appeared in commercials, signed countless autographs, waved to millions. But behind closed doors, in a quiet corner of his hometown, he built something sacred. His private garage is not open to the public. It's not part of any tour. It's barely spoken of, even by his closest friends. Inside, history sits still, and it stares back at you. The garage holds far more than just vehicles. There are untouched race suits, still stained with sweat, helmets scratched and marked from high-speed impacts, old racing tires lined up along the walls, still showing grease pencil notes from long-forgotten races. Tools hang on the walls, exactly where they were placed decades ago. Everything has been left as it was. There's no polish, no shine, no display cases, because this space isn't about showing off, it's about holding on. The centerpiece of the room is unmistakable. The original number 43 Plymouth Superbird. It has not been restored. It has not been cleaned. Tire debris clings to the undercarriage. The scent of burned oil lingers in the air. The car looks like it just returned from a final lap, and then was frozen in time. Beside it sits an old 1957 Oldsmobile. It is rusted, faded. Parts of it are crumbling. But it might be the most valuable car in the garage, because it was Richard Petty's first race car. Built with his father, Lee Petty. Every dent, every scratch, every welded seam tells the story of a beginning. The start of a journey that would go on to change racing forever. There are crates stacked along the walls, filled with old notes, handwritten lap strategies, setup logs, pencil marks noting fuel levels, tire pressures, track temperatures. Some pages have small notations about rival drivers, weaknesses spotted during practice laps. These aren't just documents. They are the raw thoughts of a master strategist. They show how Petty not only raced, but outsmarted his competition, one lap at a time. One item hidden under a tarp surprises even former crew members, a custom-built race simulator from the 1980s. There are no screens, no electronics. It's a mechanical beast, built to give Petty a feel of the track. It's old, simple, but brilliant, and he used it to visualize race day, mentally rehearsing every turn. Even trophies are treated differently here. They're not on shelves, not under lights. Some are buried under stacks of cardboard. Others lie on the floor, covered in dust. These weren't saved to impress people. They were saved because of what they meant. They marked more than wins. They marked sacrifices, close calls, miracles. But beyond this garage lies an even more secret space. There is a narrow door in the back, unmarked, tucked away behind shelves. Most don't know it exists. Those who do call it the vault. This room is where memory becomes emotion, where history becomes pain. Inside the vault is the bent and broken frame of the car Petty was driving during that horrific 1980 crash at Pocono Raceway. It has not been restored. It was pulled from the wreck and placed here, exactly as it was. As a reminder, not just of what happened, but of what could have happened, of what was nearly lost. There are boxes filled with unopened fan letters from the 60s and 70s. Some were written by children, others by veterans, many by racing dreamers who looked up to Petty as a hero. These letters were never thrown away. Petty kept them all, not for any show, but because they meant something. And then, in a quiet corner, are the most surprising items of all, pieces belonging to a rival. Dale Earnhardt Sr. There's a helmet sticker, a signed race program, a photo of the two legends taken just weeks before Earnhardt's tragic death at Daytona. These weren't traded or bought. They were exchanged in moments of mutual respect, between two men who knew what it meant to risk everything for speed. Family members say Petty visits the vault alone, sometimes for hours. He says nothing, doesn't explain, just stands there, surrounded by pieces of his past. One crew member once said, "That's not a trophy room. That's a room for things that hurt too much to forget." The collection as a whole could be worth over $10 million. But Petty has never been interested in the money. He has turned down every offer. Collectors, museums, foundations, they've all asked, some even begged, but the answer is always the same: number. Because this garage isn't an exhibit, it's not a product, it's a memory of pain, of pride, of sacrifice, of family. Petty once said, "These aren't trophies, they're pieces of me." That one sentence explains everything. To most, these items would be priceless treasures. But to Petty, they're sacred. Things that were earned through sweat, through fear, through the sound of twisted metal and the roar of 200 miles per hour down a straightaway. Even the tools carry emotion. In one drawer lies a wrench. The initials LP are etched into the handle. It belonged to Lee Petty, Richard's father. It has been used so many times that the letters have started to wear away. But it's still there, waiting, watching, holding a place in the story. And that story isn't finished. Richard's son Kyle and his grandson Thad, both racers themselves, come to the garage often, but not to film, not to post online. They come to sit, to listen, to feel, to understand. Because in that garage, lessons are not taught. They are absorbed. There is no speech, no lecture, just silence, just the presence of greatness. And in that silence, the Petty legacy passes from one generation to the next. Some things may one day move to the Petty Museum, but not everything. They're not for the world. They're for the family. They're for the next racer who carries the Petty name. They're for the ones who understand what it cost to build this legacy. In a time where history is often packaged and sold, Richard Petty did something extraordinary. He kept his truth locked away, not for secrecy, but for protection. Because when something means everything, you don't put it on display. You keep it close. Every smell in that garage tells a story. The scent of old gasoline, the burnt rubber on the floor, the musty smell of aging paper in the boxes of letters. These aren't just smells. They are echoes. Echoes of the track, of moments lived at 200 miles per hour, of decisions made in split seconds, of victories that were never easy, of losses that still sting. Every object is an echo. A fire suit with sweat still in the fabric, a steering wheel with finger marks gouged into the grip, a seatbelt cut from a wreck, not kept for memory, kept for survival, as proof, as a reminder. This is not just a garage. This is where a soul lives. This is where you feel what it took to be great. When the public sees Richard Petty, they think of celebrations, victory lane, flashing cameras, the calm voice in interviews. But the real Richard Petty is found here, in this place where time doesn't move and memories stay sharp. He could have turned it all into a brand. He could have sold cars, tools, stories. He could have opened the vault. But he didn't. Because he knows legacy isn't what you show people. Legacy is what you protect, what you pass down, what you hold close even when no one is watching. The next time you hear his name, think not just of the wins or the hat or the car number. Think of the locked door in Level Cross, the place where silence speaks louder than cheers, the place where the king still remembers. For some, the race ends at the checkered flag. For Richard Petty, it started when the track went quiet.